Hey, it's the 40 Watt Garage. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. This is day 2 of getting into diagnosing and repairing the brake problem I had on my Factory 5 Mark IV Roadster. Part 1 of this series detailed the symptoms, diagnosis, and then the start of the repairs. Day 2, like any project it seems, we've kind of had what's called scope creep or snowball effect. And what it comes down to is, I think my ignorance on the initial build may have caused these problems. And so now I'm going to remove the rear brake master cylinder and my clutch master cylinder, get them all out of the car, take them apart, clean them up, and then I will reveal what I think the cause of the problem was and solve a potential problem down the road. So stay tuned for this one. We're looking down inside the access hatch for the master cylinder area, and you can see that my front brake master is out and out of the way. And then I pulled the boot off of my rear brake master cylinder. And I don't know if you can see in there, but I do have some fluid leakage inside the dust boot. And if I can get it to focus, see down in here, I've got more of that crud, grunge, debris, and a little bit of rust forming inside the end of the cylinder. So I'm gonna have to try and get that one out of there, and then I'm really trying to figure out how I'm gonna get back in there. You see that other dust boot? That's my clutch cylinder. That thing's really buried back in there. What I'm learning while doing this is that I guess if you were to have a problem with your rear brake or center master cylinder and then your clutch cylinder way over on the side, you're probably going to need to pull any of the preceding cylinders out just to have access and have room to get the other ones out of the way. So a small job can turn into a pretty big one. All right, well, we got a little mid-project update. We have the front and rear brake cylinders out. And now we're gonna change attack and try and go after the clutch cylinder. And for this one, I'm probably going to have to drop the fuse panel out into the footwell to get access to the lower bolt for it. And I really don't want to drip brake fluid into the back of the fuse box. So I got a little work in the footwell, and then we'll get the fuse box dropped and get that cylinder out of there. I've got all of the master cylinders out of the foot box, and that is a job that I would not wish on an enemy. It's not terribly difficult. It doesn't require any real specialty tools, except for maybe a tubing flare nut wrench. It is just the limited access, the things that are in your way. Doing it again, building the car, I might reconsider some of my choices on brake line routing or placement of clips or hose clamps. But all in all, it's just very time consuming. You get very limited access, and I don't know about you guys, but these big bear paws of mine don't fit in those little spots very easily. I mean, this would be great if you had fingers like E.T. and maybe an extra wrist to get cranked around and bent in under there to turn the stuff. But all 3 cylinders are out on the bench. We're gonna tear them down, open it up, see what the insides look like, what the piston and the bores look like. And then from that stage, we'll decide whether they need to be replaced or whether a rebuild kit is in order. All depends on what they look like inside. It's out of the car and on the bench. Get it cleaned up a little bit, take it apart, see what might have failed. It's pretty dang grungy. It's obviously been leaking for a while. Inside of the dust boot is all gunged up. Paint or powder coat or whatever they put on here is totally degraded. Things are rusted up. So we'll just go ahead and clean this thing up, and once we get to that stage, we'll be back and take it apart and hopefully try and find out what failed. Digging a little more into the disassembly, I pulled the reservoir feed off, and I don't know if you can see inside there, but this is definitely grunged up. There is crud in here. We're going to keep cleaning this thing up, figure out what happened. This is the rear brake cylinder. We're going to tear it down, see what's going on inside. Really, it's just a matter of careful disassembly. You shouldn't have to force anything. Look up inside here. There's some dirt and some crud. And look at this gunk. Hopefully you can see that inside the bore, or not the bore, but the inlet chamber. That is fresh off the car after a fluid change and a fluid flush through. Where did that crud come from? You can hardly see the snap ring in here from all of the crud. This, whatever this gelatinous goo is. There's our snap ring, the retaining washer, push rod. Piston. That's interesting. My return spring has a bend in it. And here is the clutch cylinder. look in there. See all that black dreck in there? That is not good. Now, this has got that gelatinous gunk in it. What is this stuff? What caused it? What created it? Is this just what happens if the fluid gets moist or collects water and you don't change your fluid often enough? I don't know. See how the end of the piston is discolored? It's not frozen in place, but there is definitely gunk on the seal, and this black tarry residue. Well, I think our next step is we're going to take these individually, give them a very good cleaning, and then evaluate from that point. Stay tuned.